Cowardice by means of definition is a lack of bravery. But cowardice comes in many shapes, forms, and colors. For the first time in my life, I've seen what real cowardice looks like, and it is not pretty. Welcome, gentlemen, to the Cowardice Rant. Now, did you know that only a small percentage of my viewers are actually there's no way YouTubers say that and still hold their head high. It is seriously such an embarrassing thing to mutter. Anyways, enjoy the video. About a week ago, I made a video titled Changes. The summary of the video was that two separate naval groups, the 5th Naval Amphibious Force and the 7th Naval Amphibious Force, merged into one, the Naval Amphibious Force. When this was being planned, I helped initiate it and, frankly, got myself a position. I don't have a problem with the change itself, just how it was done. Nonetheless, it's done now and it's over. So I have never really had to deal with this specific problem because I've never really been in a merger before. I've been in divisional shutdowns, divisional changes, branch openings, but never a merger like this. What I've noticed so far is that you have to be very careful about how you do these things. I don't like to go against what Chris does, but how he did it was absolutely awful. It wasn't awful enough to kill the force, but it was bad enough to make me question what the hell was he thinking? First problem, lack of awareness. I mentioned this last video, but the way that Chris went about this was calling all unit leaders and discussing the plan. After that, he was like, go tell your soldiers, and to say it failed is an understatement. When the actual merger happened, no one had a clue what was going on. I barely understood it myself. Second thing second, sentimental value. When Chris switched over to the new Discord, he said to the people in the old Discord, you can go if you want, but we'll use this Discord as a place for the veterans of 5NAF. Now at first, I didn't care. Frankly, I thought it was a good idea. But by doing this, Chris not only gave the implication that the force was still open, but that it was still running. You also now have 200-something people who literally are just without positions. Third and final thing, lack of action. Laction, if you will. So with the prior two things mentioned, Chris decided to allow anyone to leave 5NAF freely and without punishment. So by combining these three things, you've got some people who don't know what the hell is going on. You've got another batch of people who are sitting there going, this is fine, as 5NAF burns down around them. You've got members leaving left and right. And the cherry on top, nobody is hosting anything in the actual Naval Amphibious Force. It's awful. So now with all that said, that brings us up to speed. Now, I've named this video Cowardice because it rings true. I mentioned that people could leave freely, but some still left by discharging. The ones who left by discharging were under the prerequisite that they needed to. So what we have now is discharge after discharge after discharge. People constantly complain about issues within these groups, and the minute that change happens, they desert. If that's not the biggest form of cowardice, I don't honestly know what is. It's one thing to leave the force when times are good and you simply are interested in other units, but it's a whole different thing to leave when times are bad. Leaving when the force needs you most is one of the worst things you can do. An example of this in my own life is my father's business. During the pandemic, times were tough and my father felt the effects of that. He ended up having to merge his business into another one. A lot of the workers left and moved on to different companies. The fact is that it hurt him because he treated them so well, and as soon as times got tough, they dipped. That is injustice. It's never just leaving. It's the fact that it's gonna hurt someone in the end whether you acknowledge it or not. If they ended up sticking with the group for another 2 weeks or so, at least it could get back on its feet first. But leaving when the force is at its absolute worst is just plain weak. It's puny. Why not help it get back up? Why not make something great before you leave it forever? That's the question you have to ask yourself. It's almost funny in a way. A lot of people decide to leave the Naval Amphibious Force, and that hurts me, but in that very same time, I was introduced to something new. This thing will most likely change not only the Naval Amphibious Force, but the Navy permanently. This thing is a brand new, fully developed map called Wake Islands. See, the developers have been working on this for a few months now. I was not aware under any circumstances that this was even a thing, but when I was told this, I genuinely was excited. Remember the first time you joined a military simulator group? For me, it was 60s. For you, it could have been 40s. Either way, it was exciting. I was just a kid then, and this was something completely new to me. I had never experienced what it was like to be in one of these groups, and I genuinely wanted to participate. I remember the first time when I joined the Air Force, and it was just so much fun to me. That feeling is about what I felt when I explored Wake Islands for the first time. It's this feeling of excitement, and all the dread that you once held sort of just floats away like the sea. It was like being a kid again, and that's the only way I could describe it. For just a few minutes, my world shifted from pessimism to optimism, and that is how excited I was and still am about Wake Islands. I mean, I've gassed up a lot, but it deserves it. I mean, the place has guns upon guns upon guns. Then you look up and there's a plane flying in the sky dogfighting another. You turn to your left and there's Imperialists shooting at you as you're riding to their shore. And I mean, the biggest thing for me is the fact that it has the USS Enterprise. That ship is priceless to me, and I mean that. There were so many memories that were made on this ship, and there's so many more to be made, and I think that's what makes this place special. That is why it means so much to me. I won't lie when I say that having so many people discharged while the Naval Amphibious Force was crumbling hurt pretty bad. I don't mean this lightly when I say that the Naval Amphibious Force is the last thing holding the United States Navy together. You could say that's an over-exaggeration, but the truth is that it actually is. People are looking at our unit as an example. People are waiting for our downfall because our downfall means the downfall of the Navy. So I need your help. I don't often do this and I don't like to do this, but time's call. What I need you all to do is to discharge from your current units and join the Naval Amphibious Force. And if you aren't already in a unit, even better. I promise you when I said that the Naval Amphibious Force is open and it's ready to welcome you. We have brand new technology that has completely surpassed anything the Navy has had before. We've got a lot, and I mean a lot, of positions currently open to not only enlisted but to officers. And frankly, the one thing we have that a lot of groups lack is optimism. For the first time in a long time, I am looking forward instead of back. I'm no longer saying what could I have done better, I'm now saying what can I do better. That is what makes us different. And honestly, from one enlisted member to another, I understand the skepticism. A lot of you may be scared because it's scared to join something that just went through reforms. But the truth is, that's what makes this group fun. That's what gives this group passion. Because at the end of the day, if the group was never bad, then we'd never understand how good we have it. So I've learned through experience that trying to recruit all of you would be a bit of a pain, so I made a bit of a straight-through method instead. The first link in the description will be a very short form that will allow you to pick a unit of choice. The choices are between the Naval Beach Jumpers, Naval Beach Groups, Scouts and Raiders, and the Underwater Demolitions teams. If those aren't 100% of interest, that's okay. The plan with this is that it's going to expand. You just have to give it time. This form will basically be used in place of a recruit training, and for every single one of you that applies and joins, I will put you in my next video, I promise. With that said, please do actually go out there and apply. The form is so easy and we need the members. Now thank you all for watching. This has been Garrett and I'll see you all in my next episode. Goodbye, gentlemen.